Hello everyone, we are kicking off the session for today. Welcome to the webinar on building cyber resilience for your organization. My name is Amrita Sharma, your host for the day. Allow me to guide you a bit about the tool to ensure that you have an interactive experience during the webinar. Through the discussion, you can post your questions in the live Q&A panel and it will be taken up by our experts during the Q&A pit stop. Today, we'll be covering the first part of our two-part webinar series, Building Cyber Resilience for Your Organization, wherein our subject matter expert will walk you through how you can assess and plan to secure your organization against cyber risk. Now, let me introduce to our speaker for the session today. We have with us Anas Hilmi, who is the solutions architect from Vigilant Asia. Now, I would request our respective speaker to start off for the session today. Anas, over to you.
Right, thank you, Amrita. First of all, everyone can see my screen now?
Yes, we can, Anas. We
All
can
right,
begin.
okay, that's good. All right, hello and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank everyone for joining today's webinar, Building Cyber Resilience for Your Organization, Part 1. Right, before I start off with our topic for today, please allow me to introduce Vigilant Asia. Vigilant Asia is a company that provides an end-to-end cybersecurity product and services. Apart from doing sales and support, we do provide consulting, manage, and monitoring services. We are ISO 27001 and CREST certified for information security and penetration testing, respectively. And we won several national and regional awards. Vigilant Asia, wholly owned by Efficient E Solution Berhad, listed in Bursa, Malaysia, with 20 years experience in managed outsourced service. Right. These are some of the industries that Vigilant Asia actively involved and currently monitoring its client security services. For our client security being monitored by our own Security Operations Center, SOC, running 24/7 throughout the year. Right. Vigilant Asia managed services comprising a few stacks of product and services, managed and monitored entirely by our Security Operations Center. Some of the services are the popular ones, Managed Detection and Response, MDR. Let me give it this part. Okay, from analysis reports, 70% of cyber attacks are now targeting endpoints or end users using previously unknown threats. While traditional cybersecurity agents such as firewalls and antivirus are still focusing on perimeter defenses and detecting only known threats. So MDR uses behavioral analysis with AI to identify abnormal activities on your endpoint. It's more proactive rather than reactive approach. Okay, next is SIM, which is Security Information and Event Management. Okay, Vigilant Asia SIMs combines powerful SIMs and log management capability with other essential security tools, including asset discovery, vulnerability assessment, and intrusion detection. All these tools will provide our clients centralized security monitoring of their networks and endpoints across the cloud and on-premises environment. Okay, mobile threat defense. On average, we spend more than 5 hours daily on mobile phones, right? And sometimes by accessing company resources, making us the prime target for the hackers. So Vigilant Asia utilizing a product called Zips Protection by Ziperium to detect both known and unknown threats by analyzing the behavior of the mobile device operating system, memory, CPU, and other parameters. And for your information, Zips integrate well with Microsoft Azure Sentinel, which is the SIEM solutions from Microsoft, and as well as Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Right, finally, the next generation firewall. With managed next generation firewall solution, our client can safely enable application users and content to meet the needs of today's business, while protecting them against growing security and security threat landscape. In short, we have to make sure every threat is stopped dead in its track long before it reaches your network. Right, these are our professional services. Vigilant Asia is a Microsoft managed partner in security in Malaysia. We do configurations, we do deployment and manage services across Microsoft 365 and Azure product. Moreover, we also work with other partners to deliver more security product coverage and to fulfill clients' specific requirement. All right, let's start with our topic for today. Cybersecurity planning, where to begin? Right, this is a crucial part of implementing your security against cyber threat and to guard your company resources. Basically, there are 3 key points to start up cybersecurity in your organization. 1 is planning. 2, cataloging your IT assets. And 3 is cybersecurity assessment. Right, before we begin, let's have a quick poll, shall we? Amrita,
Sure,
need your assistance
Anas.
on this. Thank you.
Definitely. Uh, Before moving on further, we would like to have a quick poll. We will launch the poll at the moment. We request all of you to please submit your responses. You'll be able to see the poll in your screen right now. So the question goes, do you know any of the other companies or colleagues who have been a victim of a cyber attack? Okay, so we see that responses coming in. Okay. Thank you all for voting. We see 55% of people have voted for yes. So I see the percentage is growing. The poll will be open for another 20 to 30 seconds. I request all of you to please participate and submit your responses. Thank you all for voting. I request each one of you to please participate and let us know your responses. Thank you all. So I'll be just closing the polling right now. And I'm sharing the results. So Anas, yes, I think 60%, 63% of the people have voted for yes. So they are saying that, they have known someone or colleagues or companies who have been a victim of cyber attack.
Oh, that's quite surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite surprising. So, okay, so I'll hand it over to you. Probably you
All
can
right.
build it around and you can let our, audiences know about your next viewpoints on the same.
All right. Okay. Okay, for this section, planning questions, we will investigate some of the popular question and scenario and recommend best approach to move into cloud. Right, first question. Can I justify the cost of cybersecurity? Well, of course you can. With the proper planning, the cost actually won't burden you or punch you deeply into your capex or opex. Some of the costing can be justified as part of an organization technology refresh or as an annual maintenance services or part of as operational cost optimization. Okay, the latter is mainly applicable for cloud services because it reduces other requirement for having IT services on premises. Right, for example, you may reduce your overall IT workforce. You no longer requires disaster recovery sites. You reduce your physical server maintenance and the upkeep, etc. So furthermore, to some extent, you may transfer the risk to service provider itself. Okay, this is some example from the news regarding cybersecurity breaches in the last 12 months. Yeah. So let us dig into the details. So on the top left from the news Straits Time, ransomware is still a huge cyber threat in 2021, which means this year. Yeah. So actually ransomware, I would say healthcare industry is the most popular target, but it doesn't mean that others are invisible. Yeah? Okay, when opportunity arises, hackers will penetrate your defenses and creating a havoc to your overall organization. I would consider ransomware is a modern day blackmail, right? So on the top right, the PDPC, yeah. PDPC is Singapore governing body that will ensure privacy is top notch and well taken care of. Thus, for this case, the company may experience loss of trust from its clients, loss of business. But on top of that, they do face legal actions against them. So I would say there will be a double losses to them. So next is back to our local, is a PDPA, which is Privacy Data Protection Act. So for your information, Malaysian government is going to beef up its Privacy Data Act. Thus, this will somehow or other increase the requirement to ensure the data is protected. So, is cybersecurity costly? Can I justify the cost? Right. What is the loss in dollar and cent or financial impact like globally? Yeah. So, Cybersecurity Ventures reported that the cybercrime is expected to reach 6 trillion US dollars this year. So, an increase of 10.5 trillion US dollar expected annually by 2025. So, that's a huge financial impact globally. Yeah? So what is the survey saying about organization that's being attacked by a cyber attack? So ArcServe has conducted a survey, and the result is 59% of buyers are likely to avoid companies that suffered from a cyber attack. And ArcServe also conducted a second survey to get a result of a customer confidence level towards security personal information. So 70% of consumers believe that businesses are not doing enough to secure their personal information. So lastly, FBI also reported a 300% increase in reported cybercrime since COVID-19 pandemic. And as you're well aware, I'm not sure whether you guys know, last year, one of our largest banks also faced so-called technical glitches. But thank God their core banking is still intact, only affected their end users. So this has been quite a hot topic last year. So if you'd like to know more, you can ping the internet to see it. All right, is cloud migration safe and how do I secure it? Let's investigate this scenario. Capital One is one of firm in the United States. It says breach hit 100 million individual in US. Okay, so let's study about it. From the investigation conducted on Capital One, this problem was known since 2015. And the report on the breach was in 2019. So in the span of 3 to 4 years. So in conclusion, they failed to implement security control. They failed to identify weakness and gaps. And also the management failed to act accordingly and promptly. Thus, we can conclude that the breach was caused by misconfiguration on a human factors, not on the part of Capital One, and misconfiguration on the part of Capital One, and that cloud migration is actually safe. Right. Now we are at the things to look for to embrace cloud migration. Okay, first, you must understand the shared responsibility concept. Okay. It is organization efforts and not the responsibility of selected departments. There must be an owner and a custodian roles and responsibility. Secondly, prepare the migration with security is the utmost requirement. This is actually to minimize the post-migration impact and end user experience. Example, what you can do is that maybe you can initiate security study on the services or solution offered by the principal or vendor and try to see whether it can satisfy with the organization's security policy. Okay, third point, ensuring compliance. What we have here is PCI DSS, PDPA, which is Privacy Data Protection Act, risk management in technology, this is by Bank Negara Malaysia, and also the ISO standard, which is 37001. So at least use them as a baseline when you're preparing the security policy, not necessary to be certified with any of the standards, right? So next, backup. Backup plan must be tabulated with adequate resources and comply to any SLA defined. If possible, try to get a plan with the shortest RTO and acceptable RPO. So what is RTO and RPO? RTO is recovery time objective, the shortest better. And RPO is a recovery point objective, which is you must have a certain stop gap there, which is acceptable throughout the organization. Lastly, recovery plan. This is a must. It's just for rollbacks, for the deployment rollbacks in case of unforeseen circumstances. Okay, now, when everything is in place and checked, we can now proceed with the migration and evaluate its deployment. So it is advisable to study and approach cloud migration based on criticality of the service and prioritization that will bring less impact to overall business flow. We can do this by segmenting the deployment into phases until completion. Okay, when possible, enforce data encryption, especially for data at rest. This will deter data leakage and act as a secondary security defense. The data will be useless for hackers. Think of it as a reverse ransomware. Instead of their attacking you with a ransomware, you try to make them harder to get your data. All right. Once everything on the cloud, plan to have a process to monitor all cloud activities by utilizing built-in cloud services tool, or you can utilize any third-party solutions. Logs are important for auditing purposes. Finally, once all the previous steps is in order, you may start with a plan to decommissioning physical drive by wiping it out to remove all traces of data. So do not simply throw it away to landfill or hand over it to another party. Right. Did you all agree with this poll?
Do you want to have a quick poll right now, Anas?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Let's have another round of poll.
Sure, definitely. So everyone will be launching another poll right now. We request all of you to please participate and share your responses accordingly. I'm launching the poll. So the poll says, do you have any employees that are working remotely in your organization? Okay, 100% are saying yes at the moment. I request all of you to please participate and vote. The poll will be open for another 30 seconds. Okay, we see 94% of the people are saying yes, that their employees are working remotely. And Only 5% were saying no at the moment. I request each one of you to kindly vote and let us know your responses. Thank you all. So I'm just sending the polling for today and I'm going to share the results. And as if you also see that 95% of the people have voted for yes and the other 5 is saying for no.
Yeah,
That,
thanks to
that means,
pandemic.
yeah, I mean, most of the people are managing it, working from home and remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
All
you
right.
can, you can begin the next. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Amrita. Right, bring your own device and remote working. In other words, we can say work from home. Right. The term BYOD actually has been in practice long ago, but during that time, the security awareness of it, I will say maybe zero. Because furthermore, there's a lot of solutions available that were not integrated well with each other, and end up organization has multiple management tools to manage BYOD environment. Thus, it created more workload and then sometimes confusion when managing it, and somehow or rather it reduced the threat detection efficiency. So employee will bring their new shiny mobile phone or device, and within a minute they sync with the company email, and then they start storing all the company data in it. Well, it is convenient, but we need to ensure that there is a balance between the security and convenience here. So this is to make certain if any mishap, the company data will stay protected. So right, let's run through the 6 main components that will secure your BYOD toward digital transformations. So first off is on the top left, is the endpoint protections, implementing EPP and EDR. So what is EPP? So actually EPP is a endpoint protection platform. So proactive approach to detect and block cyber threat. It has a lot of components inside there, like antivirus, you have anti-malware, data encryption, firewall, intrusion prevention, data loss prevention, and some of the tools have advanced components like behavioral analysis and machine learning model detection. So next is EDR. EDR is endpoint detection and response. So this is the reactive part of it. So EDR detects when something malicious has been executed on an endpoint and provide notification, visibility, and as well as remediation to the threat. All right. Next is the email security. Implement a good and comprehensive email security solution to minimize email spam, phishing, etc. So to reaching your end users, especially if you are hosting email on premise. So, but rest assured, all major email cloud service providers now have this email security in place. So next is centralized device management, is to ensure all devices are tracked, adhere to set configuration standard, and to manage the device healthiness. So example of device management tools is like Microsoft Endpoint Manager, or previously known as Microsoft Intune. Next is the security policy. What it will do is basically it will manage the software usage and also the computer usage privilege. Right. Second last, two-factor authentication. Okay, this tool will provide some sort like a secondary security layer. It helps in protecting user identity and to ensure legitimate access to company resources. Two-factor authentication, for example, you can see now it's being in use now, like the OTP codes that you receive from SMS or from email. Sometimes you're using a token authentication apps to handle this two-factor authentications. Right, finally, this is the most important of all, cybersecurity awareness campaign or training. So recommended to conduct this event biannually to ensure your users are well prepared and alert for any potential cyber threats. Right, now we come to the second point of our topic today, which is the IT asset. Okay, from the diagram above, this is the common approach of IT asset lifecycle. So any organization will implement new asset and then they will operate it within the defined period. Then they will evaluate whether to prolong the usage of this asset or maybe they wanted to replace it with the new hardware. Then they come up with the last step, which is to renew, replace, and dispose of the hardware. So this cycle will continue repeating itself, and there's no end of this on the cycles. Yeah. So why we need to do cataloging? Okay, cataloging of IT asset isn't only about inventory, yeah, but it is more about creating visibility and using the information to make informed decision about security and business operations. So another note is this information is the fundamental for any security compliance. Yeah. So the first thing auditor will ask you to assist them on how organization manage their information security and risk. So they will ask about this information, the IT assets. So how you going to do? How do you want to manage this? Yeah. So actually, I would say it's simple. Just get any asset management tools. Yeah. Or maybe you can start off with the most popular approach, which usually people will do with Microsoft Excel. But for managing about 50 is good, but when you're managing hundreds of assets, then you need a solution or a system to handle that. All right, I think maybe another poll here, Amrita.
Yeah, sure. Let us do a quick last round of polling. We wanted to have a quick viewpoint on the assessments, if you're running any current assessments. So I'll just launch the poll and I request everyone to vote. The question has been showcased on your screen now. So the question goes, have you run any of the assessments below? I request all of you to kindly vote in and share your responses. Okay, we see vulnerability assessment, 78% of people who have voted for the vulnerability assessment option. I request each one of you to please participate and let us know your responses so that we can understand and curate the assessment part accordingly. The poll will be open for another 10 to 15 seconds. Requesting everyone to kindly vote. Have you run any of the assessments below? Penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, CSAT, Block 64 or threat check? So we are closing the polling for now. Thank you for your participation. As you can see the results, 67% of people have gone for vulnerability assessments, Anand.
Yeah, that's a good result. As at least all the participants are aware of what type of assessment that we have in the
Yes,
cybersecurity zone, right?
yes.
So
So
yeah,
I'll
that's good.
just stop sharing the results.
Okay.
Yes, I think we can begin with the next part.
Okay, finally, the last point of cybersecurity planning, which is cybersecurity assessment. So I will talk in this topic. I will talk mainly introduction of all the three assessments. So at least you guys have all the ideas when to run it and what are this assessment for. Right. We start off at the bottom of the pyramid, which is the foundational level, which is cybersecurity assessment. Okay, these are the entry level assessment that are done to map out the organization cybersecurity level. This assessment should cover things like your servers, endpoints, operating system, your patch levels, and also any activities related to Active Directories. Yeah. So mainly this for this assessment, you will utilizing on-shelf application or solution, like for example, cybersecurity assessment test, which is CSAT. Then there's other product like Block 64 and Threat Check. So actually, this will provide the organization its security posture and rank their security level within their industry. So this assessment will give you guys a quick security level, will give you a quick glance on how well the organization protect itself against cyber threats and security breaches. Okay, this assessment can be done anytime, but should be done at least at the start of your cybersecurity program. Then after that, it can be done annually to just to get the score of the system. Okay, next on the medium level is a vulnerability assessment. So, vulnerability assessment is an assessment that uses mainly automated scanners and formulated procedure to discover any kind of vulnerability in your system. Generally, most VA, vulnerability assessment, are done on annual or biannual basis. So, if your company has compliance needs, you go for compliance standard like such as PCI DSS, you may need to run it quarterly, right? Okay, lastly, on a high level, this is the penetration testing. So penetration testing is an assessment of your IT system done with a manual technique to uncover more complex vulnerabilities that cannot be detected with scanners. Generally, this test is done with a specific goal given by the client. So penetration testing advisable to be done on annual basis. Okay. This assessment actually will help you to find the nice balance between security and convenience. So if you set your system too secure, it makes too rigid and reduce productivity. And if you set it too relaxed, it will potentially expose yourself to cyber attackers. So need to find a nice balance between these two. So in conclusion, cyber risk and threat should be viewed as the same as any other setback in your organization. So all these risks are unavoidable and can come sooner or later. But however, put in mind that they are preventable and manageable with the right cyber resilience strategy. So organization encounter fire and natural disaster, and they have safety measure against this kind of hazards. So because of the increase of cyber hazard, it is vital for the organization to have another control to build a similar strategy to defend itself against cyber attackers. So all the three steps that I presented will at least give you the overall idea, and also to prepare yourself to embrace cloud migration and digital transformation. So next steps. If you would like to feel or hands-on some of the cloud services offering from Microsoft, you may enroll to Microsoft Office E1 trial. So you will get the opportunity to test out how the Exchange Online handles the emails. You can test out the SharePoint for file collaborations, or you can have a Microsoft Teams, which is the video and audio conferencing, which is now is a popular tool for work from home. And also we have you will have a Microsoft Office Online edition. And we also can conduct a sponsored cybersecurity assessment, So because everyone loves for free things, right? But just take note, this is subject to Microsoft approval. All right. Lastly, if you like to meet us to have a chit chat on any security matters or any Microsoft Cloud solution that you're interested upon. So feel free to contact us via this email address that display on your screen now. So my email address on the second line. So before I end my presentations, here are some of the key points that you will expect from our part 2 webinar next week. Interesting, right? So we look forward to have you guys for next week webinar. So thank you, and over to you, Amrita.
Thank you, Anas.
Right,
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you for this interesting session today. I hope this has benefited the audience. We are now open for the Q&A session. If you have any question, I request all the attendees please write down at the Q&A section and we'll attend the same. We are now open for the Q&A session. Anas, we have a few questions. So one of the questions I would like to read out to you. So it says, what is the best method means to carry out cybersecurity education via e-bulletins?
Right. Okay, there's a various method to have this cybersecurity education. The best method actually is one-to-one or having a conference session with all your employees. But it's subject because currently due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you cannot gather a large crowd to have this. But you can go ahead with e-bulletins or via an emails. The point here is that to have a cybersecurity is you need to have it frequently. So don't miss this thing out, because cyber attacks, there are lots of technology. They have a lot of ways. They have a new ways to do this. So by having frequent, I would say, information about the cybersecurity is a good thing. So you can go ahead with e-bulletins, you can go ahead with the emails, or maybe you can go ahead with your newsletters, right? So is that okay?
Thank you, Anas. I hope the question has been answered. If you have any further query, please drop down at the Q&A section and we'll attend to you. So we have another question. It goes like, how long is the duration for a typical cybersecurity assessment?
Well, this depends. Cybersecurity assessment, yeah. So it depends on how many endpoints that you would like to touch. Yeah? So basically, for the basic cybersecurity assessment by utilizing a CSAT or Block 64, it will take roughly less than a month to have that. But it depends on the tool itself. If it can gathers it can touch all the endpoints within the short period of time, the endpoints revert or reporting back to it in a short period of time, then we will have a shorter assessment period. So I would say within a month.
Okay. Thank you, Anas. I hope the question is answered. In case you need to know any further information, I request you to please put in your question, then we'll attend to you. We actually have another question at the chat section. I would just like to read that out to you. So we have one question from one Mohammed. He says, we already use E3 360 for pen test. How many options you have? And what is your scope in cybersecurity assessment?
What is E3360 actually?
Uh,
can
okay.
who one Muhammad Yaakob?
Yes. Can you elaborate a bit further on this? So one of his questions says, how long is what is your scope in the cybersecurity assessment? How many options you have? So they are using Office 60E3.
Oh, Office 365 E3. All right. Okay. Okay, basically, what I can say here is that if you are already using Office 365 E3 or whatever Microsoft Cloud solutions, actually Microsoft do run a frequent penetration test and vulnerability assessment towards their own products. They come up with a report every year, biannually and annually, because as you can know, they have to comply with a lot of regulations like ISO 27001. They have to comply with GPDR. So rest assured, if you are using Office 365, the pen test is already done by Microsoft or by the service provider themselves.
Yeah, I think we have another question on the penetrate test. Mr.
Mhm.
Bharat is asking, do you offer any free penetrate test or assessment?
Well, we don't have any plan for the free penetration test, but this one actually I can't answer this question actually because this is part of our business development strategy. So maybe we can get back to you on that.
Sure, sure. There's another question. It says, how does one test or perform cybersecurity vulnerability when employees are working from home? Like vulnerability assessment when employees are working from home.
Well, actually it's a bit tough to run vulnerability assessment when remotely, yeah. Because it's good to have a vulnerability assessment runs when you have a physical access to the devices. Because and furthermore, vulnerability assessment mainly targeted critical system. So for like end users, that actually there's no vulnerability assessment per se, but what we do is that we're relying on so-called like your EDR or EPP solution. Maybe you can use your asset management tools or your device management tools to identify of any vulnerability to the specific endpoints. Yeah? I think that's the best approach because we doesn't want to have something like interruptions to the end users workflows when they are doing works remotely.
Okay, I hope the question is answered. Do let us know if you need any further information at the Q&A section.
I think there's one question in the chat box. I think.
Yep, I'll quickly check.
I said, yeah, it's not a question, it's an additional clarification required.
Yeah, his one is saying, for pen test, do you have option that is basic, standard, and advanced?
Basically, we don't segmented our pen test based on basic, standard, and advanced, but we do have something like I would say the penetration test that we do is that it relying on the customer requirement. We do have our basic or best approach on the pen test, and if the clients request a specific test, maybe they have to comply on certain standards or rules, then we can accommodate that. No issues.
Hope when your question is answered. If you have any further query, please let us know.
Drop us an email if you have any information about our pen test.
Yes. So we are open for the Q&A section. Do let us know if there are any further questions that you have. We request all of you to please put on your questions at the Q&A section. In case you have any question regarding the today's session or the topic. So we have one another question in this chat section actually. So Bharat is asking, do you offer yearly penetrate test and how much is the standard charges?
Okay, the first part of the question, yes, we do. The second part is varies. So for the standard, we don't have a standard charges actually. We do have a basic charge for this, but mainly we need to see your environment. We need to see environment, how many resources that require to run your pen test, and then how the complexity of your system. So I would say that our charges are varies among companies. So we don't have a set standard.
Hope Bharat, your question is answered.
Drop us an email so we can answer your more in depth on
Yes,
this.
yes. You can send us your queries and then we can have a further discussions on the same.
Yeah.
So we have another question from one actually. So he's asking,
Mhm.
can you do remote pen test?
Yes, we can. Actually, penetration test is mainly to test your perimeter defenses from external, right? So mainly we do it remotely, or it depends on the situation, but with on current situation, yeah, majority we did it remotely. So we did a couple of our clients for the last year, and in fact also this year we did it remotely. All right,
Thank you, Anas.
all right.
So do you have any further question? One, hope we are okay with the answer. We'll close the Q&A in another 30 seconds. Yeah, there's another question actually. Your pen test cost will be depending on standard or customize.
Where is it actually?
Yes, there's another
Oh, yes, sorry.
question.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
right.
So it says your pen
Okay.
test cost will be depending on standard or customize.
So the actually the pen we do have a standard costing for the pen test. For customization, we will look into the few factor that we will put into the cost. Like for example, if it requires us to use more advanced tools to execute the pen test, or there might be something that you have a specific test that you would like to do to fulfill certain requirement. So there's an additional cost to it, but basically, I would say it's very it's very subjective to talk about the cost on the pen test actually. But we do have the basic cost for it.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Anas. So
Right.
we are now closing the Q&A session for today. And once again, thank you for being such a wonderful audience. We urge all of you to kindly submit your feedback post the session. The same will be now reflected on your screen. So the second part of this webinar series will be conducted on 17th of March, and we request all of you to kindly join in. So the recording for the session will be sent across to you. You can also pass this across to your colleagues who may be interested to join for the next session. So for any queries, you can reach out to us at this email ID. For those whose questions were not able to take, we were able to take up today due to the paucity of time, or those who were not able to ask their question because of any other reason, we encourage you to share your feedback and suggestions at this particular email ID. You can also send us your queries. We are all ears on this ID and will definitely get back to you. Take care and stay safe. I thank all the panelists for joining us today, and I thank you, Anas, especially for giving us such valuable information, and to all the attendees for participating. Have a
Right.
great
Thank
day,
you.
and thank you, all of you.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.